some years back. The best fishing in the watershed was here in these rocks. There were pickerel and channel catfish and smallmouth bass, and we at that time ate fish out of the Conewago. I would hope that that day will come again.
Ben Simmons, a resident of the Conewago Creek watershed in parts of Lancaster, Lebanon, and Dauphin Counties in southeastern Pennsylvania, recalls fond memories of fishing in the Conewago Creek, which is now too polluted to sustain the kind of aquatic life Mr. Simmons remembers. Today, the Conewago Creek watershed has a decreased stream flow, and there's much less diversity among aquatic species. Like many streams of local watersheds within the larger Chesapeake Bay watershed, the Conewago of today is not the Conewago of years past. The land within the Conewago Creek watershed is dominated by agricultural purposes, especially dairy farming, so most of the pollution in the Conewago Creek stems from agricultural practices on the surrounding land. USDA soil scientist Peter Kleinman has said,
"The importance of watershed management is to address all sources of pollution, and agriculture is considered a real concern."
Agriculture is a non-point source of pollution, which means there is not one specific site that the pollution is released from, but it collects from vast land areas into small water bodies like the Conewago Creek. It is increasingly important to recognize the impacts of agriculture as more farms are needed to feed our growing population. Pollution from agricultural practices is mostly caused by animal droppings, chemicals from pesticides and fertilizers, and loose sediment. All of these can be washed from farmlands into nearby rivers and streams like the Conewago Creek by the flow of rainwater along the ground. Animal droppings and fertilizers can contain things like nitrogen and phosphorus, both very harmful to aquatic ecosystems. Sediment, or loose soil that's not held in place by plants called cover crops, is equally as harmful as it carries chemical residues into the water, reduces water clarity, and can fill in shallow areas of some rivers and streams. Harry Campbell, a Chesapeake Bay Foundation Pennsylvania scientist advocate, lists these as major impacts to local waterways from agriculture.
We are the number one source of nitrogen, the most damaging pollutant. We are number 2 in phosphorus and sediment delivery. So we have a significant influence on the 3 major impacts in terms of pollution, and that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment.
The communities surrounding the Conewago Creek watershed have realized that their waters have changed, and their environment is not the pristine place it had been before. As a result, a collaborative project has formed among local residents and other landowners, and a diverse group of local, state, national, private, and nonprofit organizations called the Conewago Creek Initiative. Matt Royer, director of the initiative, describes how it's set up for success.
It's bringing all of these agencies and organizations that are doing all great work on their own, trying to implement conservation practices, helping landowners implement conservation practices on their lands, doing it in kind of a targeted watershed manner. We're also looking to bring the local landowners and watershed residents into this program so that they can really benefit from the expertise and technical service that can be provided by the agencies that do this work. Our goal is that this could be something that we could replicate in other watersheds.
The Conewago Creek Initiative aims to increase awareness of and interest in land management practices that could improve water quality of local streams. There are suggested practices for the land of home and business owners, but since agriculture is such a dominating land use in this area, most land management practices here are aimed at what farmers can do to reduce their impact on the environment while increasing their profits.
We have a unique opportunity here in this watershed to show that, we can still live and work and farm this land productively and have a viable, healthy watershed.
Ron Kopp is a dairy farmer in the Conewago watershed who has found ways to farm with less environmental impact and more profit. In a word, sustainably.
I like to say that farmers are actually the first environmentalists. We utilize everything we grow here, including the manure. We take all our manure and recycle back in the field for fertilizer crop nutrients. Our primary goal here is to produce the feed that produces the milk that we end up selling to the consumer here in the Harrisburg area.
The Conewago Creek Initiative's efforts in promoting farm conservation and sustainable land management among farmers are seeing success. The Conewago Creek area has a higher population of farmers interested in learning about and using sustainable farming techniques than most other rural areas in the larger Chesapeake Bay watershed region. One of the highly suggested land management practices is a riparian buffer, which is an area along a stream that has lots of native trees and grasses. These plants act as a filter, or a buffer, by filtering the water that runs from the farmland into the stream before it reaches the stream. A riparian buffer can also consist of fencing to keep grazing cows from going directly into the stream. Director Matt Royer speaks about a farm site in the Conewago Creek watershed where a riparian buffer is being put to the test.
This planting is on an active farm that provides pasture for cattle. Historically, before the buffer was in, the cattle had access to the stream, were getting in, tromping down the stream banks, creating erosion problems. So we talked to the landowner about putting up a fence to keep the cows out and planting trees in the buffer area along the stream. It slows down the runoff coming off the fields, keeps the cows out of the streams, reducing nutrient and sediment pollution. And the trees, as they start to grow, will start to shade in the stream, providing cooler water temperatures, which are better for fish, help to stabilize the stream banks. We also installed water access points so the cows could still get their water to drink, but predominantly stay off the stream banks on the way out of the creek. The stream itself, because of the forest buffer system, will actually process nutrients and other pollution faster than you would get if the stream were not buffered.
These methods have been proven to be successful in reducing pollution, but patience is needed. It's possible that it could be about a decade before a recognizable difference is seen in the Conewago Creek, because it can take trees up to 15 years to mature after a riparian buffer has been planted. Bernard Sweeney, director of the Stroud Water Research Center, talks about more land management practices to go along with our riparian buffer, and emphasizes that several best management practices, or BMPs, should be used together. One BMP is typically not enough.
We have a buffer of trees, contour farming, terraces, and grass waterways to assure that we can minimize the amount of soil erosion and minimize the movement of fertilizers and pesticides off of these fields. We also know that the presence of a streamside forest buffer along a small stream channel enhances the ability of the stream to process nitrogen 2 to 8 times more efficiently than without that forest buffer. We can't think of a streamside forest buffer as being a panacea, a solution that will allow you to do anything you want uphill. We need an entire system.
Putting in a riparian forest buffer or putting up fences may seem to be an intimidating task for a farmer. But luckily, there are a wide variety of state and federal programs that will cover all the costs of creating a forest, maintaining a forest, and in many cases will provide rental payments to the farmer for having such land management practices. These BMPs have been proven to better water quality in local streams and water bodies downstream, but they have also been shown to improve the economic viability and value of farmers' agricultural operations and therefore improve the farmer's bottom line. These suggested best management practices are being used all over the Conewago Creek to transform the polluted watershed and preserve the community's cherished rural landscape. It is with these tools that the Conewago Creek community hopes to reach their visions of what they want their home to be.
It is very important for those of us alive today to leave the land and the water in better shape than which we found it. So my vision for this land, for this community, and really for the entire Susquehanna watershed is that the land will be healthy and the water will be clean.
The bottom line is, with what we're faced with the bay cleanup and very daunting goals and objectives, it all has to happen at the local level. This is really an issue that has to do with how we live our lives and how we use the land and how that affects water quality.
For healthier streams and happier farmers, choose clean water.